Hey everybody, this is Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and I have got a CGC unboxing for you today. You can tell because I've got the box sitting right here. We got 25 books to go through. It was a Prescreen 9.8 submission, a modern order, and what I did with this order was it was one of the last orders that I sent in the CGC that I actually had them work on. After that, I ended up getting my own presses, learning a lot more about the trade, learning how to clean and press myself, and from that point on I've been saving a lot of money. So this is one of those last orders. We're going to have a few more still in the pipeline right now, but this one made it in. It is a 25 books out of a 50 book order. I've got the other 50 are coming in shortly, so I will probably have another video in the next few days as well. But I'm pretty excited about this. Let me give you some facts on this right here. Now, let me set this down. So this order actually got sent out. I ended up shipping this out in July 23rd to be exact. It was delivered on July 27th. It went to CCS at some point. I don't have the exact date on that, but I know that it got back to CGC for the encapsulation and the actual grading and everything on September 13th. So from September 13th until they finally shipped it on March 14th, just a few days ago, that's how long it took him to actually grade the book after it had finished up at CCS, where they clean and press the books. And judging by the weight of the box, I know I probably had some in here that fail. It's going to be an interesting experiment, this thing that I did. Hopefully they did a good job. We got a lot of books here. It's obviously a big box, so I know I've got a lot of 9.8s in here. Anything that didn't meet that 9.8 threshold, I'm hoping that I can take back, and I'll reevaluate those books. I'll take a look and see if the value is there to resubmit, if I think it's a 9.6 or 9.4. A lot has changed over the last year as I've gone through these books and the way I look at these books and I value these things. And at the time, I was really still just learning, sending out books left and right. I thought I was being pretty smart about what I was picking. Since then, a lot of the books probably have dropped in value. A lot of the market has gone down recently, but I'm hoping that we've got enough books in here that will do pretty good. We'll see. All right, let's get into it. I've got my trusty little blade right here. I want to dig into the box right now. Now, some of these orders, I've actually gone in and taken a look at the grades, and it was by mistake. The other half of this order, I actually went in and inadvertently looked at it. I thought I was looking at the shipping and I clicked the wrong button, and I ended up seeing the grades, so I know what I got on the other order. But once I did that, I took a look at this one and made sure I didn't go in there once it had finally been finished and was getting shipped to me. I have no idea how many books I've got in here. I don't know how many failed. I actually had to go back to my order to see what was in the other half of this order. So let's take a look. So right up, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I've got 16 comics out of the 25. It's probably one of the worst orders I've had for Prescreen, but for what I was doing with this, I guess it's actually still pretty good. That means, I guess, what is it, 16? So there's 9 books that didn't meet the grade. We will take a look at those at the end of this and see what didn't make the grade, and maybe I can go in there and do a little bit more work myself. What I've noticed in the last order that I got in that I did the same sort of thing was some of those books could have benefited from a little bit more loving care, I guess. Go back in there, work on that spine a little bit more. I mean, no one's going to take care of these books the way that you want to take care of these books. So that was crucial in learning how to do this myself, how to clean and press, how to do these things, because it's my time. My time is my own, and I can put as much time into a book as I want, and at some point I can either say yay or nay whether I'm going to send it out or not. And this was a big gamble, but like I said, I put a 9.8 Prescreen on this to avoid them not meeting the grade and then not being worth what I really wanted to get out of them. So let's get into the books. Like I said, the ones I'm going to pull out here are all 9.8s. And it's a mixed bag of different books, but let's just see what we have here. All right, first up is Stray Dogs #2. This is the Pet Cemetery homage. Now, if you watch a lot of my other videos, you know I'm a big fan of Stray Dogs, and especially the horror homage covers that they've done. That's what kind of got me into this, was the Silence of the Lambs cover from issue #1, and I think in one of my last videos, unboxings, I actually got that back. And I think it's going to stay in a collection for a while. But this was issue #2. Alright. And then we've got another Stray Dogs. This is issue #5. This is the Friday the 13th cover. That's very nice. Now, one of the things that especially these later issues and some of these horror homage covers that I was noticing, especially with these white borders around here, I had to do a lot of cleaning on those, dry cleaning, going in there and with an eraser kind of cleaning up the edges on this. And the reason for that is it did have some black color rub from the backs of these covers, and all these covers are very dark. So when they're back, the front cover's touching this, it's that little bit of white's picking up some of this dark background. So that was a pretty easy job. Go in there, clean those up. It wasn't very difficult. Oh, this is very nice. I think this is actually the second copy I have of this. This is Spider-Man #1, the Todd McFarlane run. This is the silver variant. This is my favorite cover. I think I've mentioned this before. The silver one is my favorite. The gold is okay, and the regular cover with the kind of green, I'm not a fan of it at all, but I love this cover. And so I think this is the second one that I've got as a 9.8. Both of these from the personal collection. I bought these back in the day. This is 1990. I've had this since it came out. Alright, next up, oh, this is really nice. I wasn't sure if this was going to make the grade or not, but this is, again, another one of my personal copies. This is Gen 13. This is issue #1. This is from 1994. J. Scott Campbell. Love that artwork. That is J. Scott Campbell, right? Yeah. On the cover, at least. So, love me some Gen 13. So, real happy with that. I've been doing pretty good with some of these old Image titles like this. I've been getting some pretty good grades. I know I've got at least 1 or 2 Wildcats #1. I've got a 9.8 out of Spawn #1. I think Spawn #9, I've got a 9.6 that I wasn't surprised that I got, because there was a little bit of damage there. But yeah, I think I'm going to continue trying to get some of these early Images done like that. I know this last weekend I picked up, I think I actually, what did I pick up? Wildcats #1, Savage Dragon #1 at a local comic book shop. You'll probably see that in another video pretty soon. Alright, here is X-Men #1. This is from 2019, the Jonathan Hickman run. And at the time, this was fair market value for a 9.8 on something like this. Was running at least $100. I was hoping that the value on this would kind of go up a little bit more. But this was a really nice copy. I went ahead and sent it in. I don't think the value on this is really, I don't think this has held up as much, but got a 9.8, so it's still going to have some value there. Oh, now this is really nice. This is Venom #2, Lethal Protector, Mark Bagley artwork. Now, I think in one of my orders I just recently sent out, I think I finally sent out the first issue to this run. But I think in this order I had issues 2 and maybe 4 or #5 in there as well. There's some value to these, there's not a lot. You have to get a 9.8 on, I think, this particular issue to make it worth anything. I think a 9.6, I think the value just drops off the cliff. So getting a 9.8 was kind of crucial on something like this. Now this is really nice. This is Superman Adventures #1. And I don't think I actually had any other copies from this run. Not Not sure. I'm sure I just picked it up because it was the #1. I was a big fan of the Batman Adventures TV series. Not as much as the Superman series, but I loved the artwork, the Bruce Timm artwork, and style and everything. So I went ahead and picked up a #1 of that. I'm sure this was just I want to say it was just a newsstand copy, but I'm not sure. But it's beautiful, beautiful wraparound there, isn't it? It is a Bruce Timm cover, so there you go. But that's absolutely gorgeous. I wasn't sure if this one was going to make the grade or not, but that's fantastic. Not as valuable as Batman Adventures #1, but again, enough value that at a 9.8, it's worth a little bit of money. Most of these probably will average out, or at least my figuring was it was going to be about $100, $125 on a lot of these. Some of these would be a lot more, some of them not too much less, but at anything lower than a 9.8, it really would drop off. So that's why I set that pre-screen. All right, here is one. This is my favorite cover other than the Silence of the Lambs to Stray Dogs. This is Stray Dogs #1. This is the 4th printing. This is the homage to one of my all-time favorite films, John Carpenter's The Thing. Absolutely, I saw this. I'd have to go back and look and see how much I paid on these copies. These days you can pick this up for the raw copies, pretty cheap, but at the time when it came out, it was really hot, I should say it's really expensive. I want to say probably at least $20 a copy of this, and I ended up picking up several of these because this I wanted for my PC. I love this. This is absolutely gorgeous. Alright, obviously this is the Stray Dogs part of the unboxing. We have Stray Dogs #2. This is the 3rd printing. This is the homage to The Evil Dead, and not my favorite cover, but I love the movie, so I went ahead and picked this up at the same time that I picked up the issue #1 for The Thing. So got a 9.8 out of that one. And looks like I've got 2 of those. So I got 2 copies of issue #2, the 3rd printing there. Oh, this is nice. I wasn't sure if this one was going to make it or not. I felt like there was a color breaking spine tick or a spine tick that I wasn't sure they were going to be able to get out, but this is Black Widow #6, the new story, the new Kelly Thompson stories. And there's a character, and I'm blanking on the character's name, but this is their first appearance. This is the regular cover, the Adam Hughes cover. I know that this issue went really hot for a little bit. I think it's cooled down some at this point, but I'll have to go back, just like any other book here. I will go back and see what the values are today and see if some of these are going to go for sale now, or are they going to end up sitting in a collection in the PC for a while, or what. So right now, really happy with that. I know I tried to buy multiple copies of that and was having issues every time I would go to the comic store. They had a few, but that black cover was very unforgiving and would have a lot of color breaking spine ticks. Oh, and here is, I think I ended up ordering this. This is the design variant to the same issue, #6, and as I said, I can't remember the new character's name, but that's very nice to get that. All right, continuing on, we have a second copy of Stray Dogs #1, 4th printing, The Thing homage again. So we've got 2 copies of that now. And I've got 3 left. And let's continue with the Black Widow theme. So I've got 1 copy, and I pretty much will say I probably have 1 that failed, but this is issue #2 of the Black Widow series, that same series. This is the variant, the J. Scott Campbell variant here of, what is her name? Yelena? Did I get that wrong? What is her name? But this was the J. Scott Campbell variant here. I think I had already gotten issue #1 of Natasha like this, done as a 9.8. So that's going to be nice to match these up. Alright, 2 books left. I'm really happy with this. If you watched my previous videos, you know how much I like facsimile reprints, especially of the older books that you'll never be able to afford. And I've got 2 of them right here, and these are the facsimile reprints, and I was so happy with this one, because, oh, both of them actually, because I think I've only got 1 copy of either one. One on my paid cover price, the other one, the one I'm going to show you right now, was $20, and I talked with the seller a little bit, and they said they had just listed it, and they said it was super clean, so I took them at their word, and it looked really good. There was a little bit of spine creasing, that's why I had CGC work on it, but Giant Size X-Men #1, facsimile edition, 9.8, that's actually pretty good. And as I've talked about these facsimile reprints at these high grades like this, there's some value to this. Not the original value, but some of these are going for well north of $100 at a 9.8. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, and I love having these. I can set these around my collection. I can put that in my back wall, and you all would look, hey, oh my God, does he have a Giant Size X-Men #1 back there? Well, yeah, I do, but it's a facsimile. So this actually makes up for the fact that when I finally got into my collection here about a little bit more than a year and a half ago, and I kind of was in that crossroads. I was between jobs, and I was watching the comic book market just start to take off, and I'm sitting there going, do I really need to keep all these in my collection? I mean, the collection's just growing and it's sitting there. And I finally decided to start selling some things, and I actually needed some money at the time. You know, the cash flow was a little tight in between jobs and all, and I ended up I sold my copy of Giant Size X-Men #1. It was probably in a fine condition without a press. So I ended up selling it, and it was very helpful at the time. I don't have any regrets. Yes, at this stage I wouldn't have sold it. I would have worked on it. Well, I probably would have had somebody work on it, being a square-bound book and everything, but the value probably tripled for what I ended up getting for it. But I ended up getting paid very well for it at the time, and I was very happy with that. And it was very necessary, and so I don't have any complaints with it. But this is real nice to have in a collection, sort of as a pseudo replacement. I still have my original copy that I had back from, what was it, 75? I had my original copy. I read the cover off of that book. I have it in one of my boxes in storage. I think I finally bagged and boarded it just to kind of keep it together, but I love that book. I love that. I love X-Men 94 and 95, and those are some of my favorite comics at the time. And, you know, like all of us, we probably wish we would have kept better condition of those books when we were young like that. But, c'est la vie, what can you do? Alright, the last one that is graded is just a beautiful copy of this. And again, this is a book, even beyond the Giant Size X-Men, that I will never be able to afford, even in low grade, is Fantastic Four #1, facsimile edition. And just absolutely gorgeous. I was hoping to get this. I've got a pretty good set of these early X-Men issues now. I've got X-Men #1, I've got this, I've got Hulk #1. I'm trying to think. I think I've got a few other that are not first issue, but the facsimiles are going pretty good. And again, this is at this point 9.8 on this. Fair market value for this is over $100. So not interested in selling it at this point, but this is nice to have in a collection. All right, I'm going to leave that right there. And what's left is this right here. Raw books inside. So what we're going to see is what books that they worked on did not make the grade. All right, let's get the trusty blade out again. All right, right off the top is the issue I said I knew I had another copy of it. We have Black Widow #2, J. Scott Campbell variant. Let's move that down. And I even talked about this. I'll have to take a closer look at it, but it's Batman Adventures #1. This is one of those that even in a 9.6 I think might have enough value for me to really evaluate and see if I can get back in. Again, I'll look at all of these and we will probably resubmit most of them. It just may not be for a 9.8. And here's another one of those lethal protectors. This is issue #4. I think this one actually at a 9.8 would have been more valuable than at issue #2. I think there's the first appearance is a Screech. And another one of the Weapon X Marvel Comics Presents. This is issue #74. Didn't make the grade. Oh, this one's really disappointing. I will have to take a close look at myself. This is one I really wanted for the PC. And it's the Dark Knight's Batman Who Laughs. And I love this issue. This issue right here, this cover in particular, is what got me back into reading DC more than the... At the time, I was literally... There was only one book over the last probably 15 years that I have really been interested in. And even though I picked up things when they'd restart Batman and New 52 and Rebirth and all that, Batman was the only one I would start with, but I didn't stay with it. But there was one book in particular that I stayed with, which was The Secret Six, and I loved the story on that. It came out of the Villains United storyline and the little miniseries that they had done years ago, and for whatever reason, I stuck with that for a long time, and I wouldn't order anything else from DC. It used to be that and the JSA. Those are the two books I would always get. I always loved the characters in those stories and the art sometimes. But this, when I saw the cover to this right here, I mean, wow, this just blew me away. And as I said, it got me back into DC Comics a little bit and got me back into reading Batman, and that's what got me into liking Punchline and the James Tynion storylines and things like that. But this is when it started it all. I would have loved to have that as a 9.8. I'll have to take a look at that. Now this is one I thought was pretty close to being really good. It's not super valuable at a lower grade, but at a 9.8 it would have been at least $100 plus. This is Amazing Spider-Man: Soul of the Hunter, another Mike Zeck. I wasn't particularly fond of this book, not as much as I was of the original Kraven's Last Hunt, of course. But that would have been nice one to get. That was simply one that I could see fair market value at the time was at least $100. Like, okay, let's go ahead and throw it in there. Then we got Web of Spider-Man 100. Again, another issue that I really don't... No, I wasn't really a fan of these at the time, but I had these, and I know that, again, the value in this was probably around $100 at a 9.8. And then we got 2 issues of Spider-Man. This is issue #13. That would have been nice to get. And issue #2, this one is less valuable, but would have been nice to get as well. So all these books I'll take a look at. We will evaluate the conditions and see what CGC didn't get. If it was simple spine creases that I can go in there and I can work on myself at this point, and I can take care of them. If there were other defects, we'll find those too, and we'll make that evaluation whether we actually send these in or not. But anyway, that's it. 25 books in this submission. I think that's 16 isn't great, but considering the way I did this order, I think that's actually pretty successful to get more than half of these where you knew that without any work at all, you probably weren't going to get nearly this many as a 9.8. So was it worth the money? Well, I think it's actually pretty good. But we'll see. We'll see what these come out then. And when I get ready to resubmit these, I'll go through those and we'll do a video and I'll show you those as well. So anyway, guys, that is it for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do. I appreciate everybody who subscribes to the channel. Guys, take care, and I will see you for the next one.